Hello, fellow heroes. Okay, today I really want to do a 101 on Hollow Knight Silksong. This game has been highly anticipated. I will not be playing it for another couple of weeks, which makes me disappointed, but I am loving seeing all the hype for it. Let's get a vibe check, a 101 on everything that's going on. Right off the bat, we didn't release it early because we were having fun making it. We haven't said anything for 6 years, but the game will be released in 2 weeks. Journalists will not receive an early copy. They must play the game on the same day as other players. Wins all around. I mean, this is just stuff we're not used to seeing in recent industry video game standards. Like releasing the game early happens all the time, like pushing crunches or falling behind, or just there's a bunch of other insider stuff that happens within the bloated industry, and bloated's going to be the key word today. We haven't said anything for 6 years. Yeah, there's no need to build up hype or to build up this. I think there's too many times, especially right before, COVID era in 2019, 2018, we went through this era of just like overhyping things, announcing something and then waiting 5 years for something for it to come through, and just constantly building up expectations. And then when the game comes out, a lot of the things that they announced 5 years ago aren't even in the current game, and the journalist not receiving an early copy. This one's interesting too because I feel like in today's journalists, there's too many journalists that use their early copy of the game to kind of push an agenda or push the game they want it to go. I'm not saying they all do that. I'm not saying they're not done fairly, but whenever we get things like Dragon Age the Veilguard saying it's a return to form, or it's a 9 out of 10, or even Avowed coming out, Hollow Knight, Silksong, and other games like Expedition 33 have just shown why the bloated industry is such a problem. You have $60 to $150 million budget game. Sorry, I said dollars early. 100 plus developers, Microsoft backing it, flops miserably. Same thing here. You don't have to cost $80. Don't need bloated budgets. Don't need to lecture the players on how they should be a good person. Don't need photorealistic graphics. Don't need to be turned into political platforms. Players just want to have fun. And some of these things like the political platforms and stuff like that, whenever they say stuff like that, this doesn't mean, Metal Gear Solid is a great example of a political platform for a video game. People don't mind that kind of stuff. No, they don't mind the art of it. What people don't like is when the game is breaking that fourth wall and trying to tell you how to live your life. That's what people don't like. I mean, this game is these small developers are outshining these giant developers right here. And like so much so that freaking Silksong broke Steam. So many people were excited to get onto it. When's the last time a game actually like turned off Steam itself or broke down other websites? You have pirates. People who pirate games going and buying it, actually encouraging other people to buy Silksong. Why does piracy occur? I think piracy occurs whenever the consumer doesn't have easy access to a product. The great example of this is Spotify. I mean, you look at what music used to look like, what the music industry looked like before Spotify. Everyone was pirating. It was almost normal to pirate. But when Spotify comes out and you spend a monthly fee, and then you no longer have to go and risk your PC getting viruses or having to deal with all the other pirate websites, it is now more convenient to just give away part of your money in order to receive the product that you want. Same thing with Netflix and streaming services, but that's a conversation for another day. However, gaming journalists aren't necessarily talking about these things. Most of the stuff is being talked about by the people. People are happy of this type of success from Silksong. Right now, IGN's talking about how with Hollow Knight Silksong out, many players are celebrating its unexpected low $20 price tag. But some independent developers are pointing out that great as it may be, it could lead to an unreasonable expectation for other indie games that can't afford to sell for that low. Now, what are they saying here? They're saying that, oh, this low price tag isn't as good as you think it is. And this absolutely just triggers me. I get so mad when I see something like this because it's against the consumer. Obviously, we want lower prices. We want to pay for something that's worth our time, and we don't want you emptying or siphoning our wallets with whatever systems you have going on in your game. And over here we have the journalists, games media journalists protecting this bloated industry. And when it comes down to it, they're talking about this guy right here, Lone Fungus, as a dev making a smaller Metrovania than Silksong, which I originally threw would be fairly priced at 20 USD. What should I be priced at now? They feel like their game is smaller than Silksong, and therefore they're probably overpricing it at the moment, because it's 10 to 15 hour game made by one person. However, even IGN says it here, but they got a lot of positive stuff saying like, hey, just put it out for $20, do what you got to do. It's quality over quantity. Don't worry about that. Even if you want to price it at $12 to $15, like do what you need to do. This guy's saying Terraria is $10 and I have 350 hours played into it. And he got a lot of positive feedback and encouraging stuff. This is a developer who was insecure, who's working on a game by themselves and feels like they're not up to it. I totally get that. As a content creator myself, whenever I make a video and I've spent maybe 9 hours working on a review for a video game or a movie, and I see other people who put out reviews, or I see other things that put it, and I'm like, oh man, should I make it longer? Should I make it shorter? What am I doing? It makes sense for a creator to be anxious about these kinds of things. But for IGN to, have such a title of making people think, oh, well, the $20 price, low prices in video games is bad. That negative connotation is not okay. That's not what we need here. Even down here in the comment section, both Silksong and Expedition 33 have exposed the gaming industry for what it is. Unnecessary large teams with bloated development costs and the resulting greedy practices like $70 price tags. Pounds, 70 pound price tags, 100 pounds premium editions, MTX, season passes. Silksong Expedition 33 have proven you don't need a big bloated teams and budgets to create a masterpiece. Small teams can create games with amazing gameplay that people will want to play because they are passionate about what they are making, and it shows. And I completely agree with this. Now, I said the keyword here was going to be bloated. And what exactly does that mean? Is how do we really need to pay a team of people to be politically correct? Do we really need to hire these high-class famous actors to come in and play a character as a role in our game? I know Expedition 33 did it, but they did it at something that was affordable in their budget. Right here, I think this comment, this reply to what we just read, kind of shows the back and forth and why I think defending the bloated industry is not okay. So there are thousands of games created on a budget smaller than Expedition 33. Some are worse experience, some are better. Does that mean Expedition 33 should have slashed its development costs? Now, that doesn't make any sense. Expedition 33 was able to sell a game at a lower price point than its other competitors because it had a smaller team and because it was able to work with its budget. The budget correlated with the team and with everything that was going on and with the product and the quality of the game. That is not saying that other people need that, like, because there's a team like Silksong who has like 3 developers, that Expedition 33 needs to drop their things. That this is an argument that doesn't even make any sense. It's logic fallacy all over it. Your simplification of the subject is gross. Well, they also simplified it. Take a game like Arkham Asylum, one of the best games ever made. The license alone probably cost close to this budget. Now, again, this argument is invalid, And it kind of proves the point of like the bloatedness. Him saying this is actually proving the other guy's point. And the reason I'm highlighting this conversation or the replies between these two people, because I think it's important to understand what is wrong with the game industry right now. Take a game like Arkham Asylum. The license alone probably cost close to this budget. So Arkham Asylum was not a great game because Batman was in it. Arkham Asylum was a great game because it was a great stealth Batman-like game. If you take Batman out of Arkham Asylum, it won't be as good. It won't be as immersive experience as playing as Batman, but that game would still be one of the best games that have released. I think Batman helped sell the game because he's such a big IP. Yeah, sure. But you look at games like Overwatch. Overwatch was a hit. It was a huge success. And all those are original characters. Yes, Marvel Rival comes in and does the same thing as Overwatch, but people are playing Marvel Rivals because it is more fun. If Marvel Rivals gameplay wasn't as good as Overwatch, people wouldn't be playing it. And the proof is in the pudding whenever Overwatch actually killed Battleborn, because they were essentially the similar type of game. Battleborn was probably more into a MOBA-like than Overwatch was, but it was absolutely slaughtered by Overwatch because of the better gameplay. This is what the players wanted. Batman is similar to DEI in this case, where he doesn't necessarily ruin the gameplay, nor does he create the gameplay, but he can heighten or lessen the experience. And in this case, it is heightened. But you also compare Batman Arkham series to the Suicide Kills the Justice League. You have characters like Harley Quinn, who is beloved. You have the Justice League characters going out and trying to fight evil Superman, evil Batman, or evil Justice League characters is something that show interest in people. But those characters were not enough to make the game good. So spending all that money on Warner Brothers licensing isn't worth it. I still want to have games like Batman. I still want things to be licensed and for us to have fun with IP that we cherish and love, but those things add to the cost. And the industry shouldn't focus on making something bigger or realistic. They should be focusing on making something that is fun for the consumer. Other game journalist sites like Eurogamer have said that Silksong is being reviewed bombed in China. Oh no, the Chinese are ruining our games again. First, they're over reviewing our games so they don't count as reviews, and now they're review bombing our games. And this article really stands out to me because they're going around talking about that there's a translation issue for the Chinese, and that speaking players are saying that there's issues with it. But even Matthew Griffin is saying to our Chinese speaking fans, we appreciate you letting us know about quality issues with the current simplified Chinese translations of Hollow Knight Silksong. We'll be working to improve the translation over the coming weeks. Thanks for your feedback and support, with 18,000 likes, man. So they are aware of it. They addressed that the issue exists, and they are going to be working to fix it. So saying like headlines like review bombing, last I checked, I don't think review bombing is people critiquing something that's an actual problem with it and making themselves heard. So much so I went and Googled it to see that I can't speak. A review bomb is a malicious online phenomenon where a large number of people or even a singular person using multiple accounts coordinate to post negative reviews. There's nothing malicious going on about people saying, hey, your translation isn't that great. We're not enjoying the translation to Chinese. So, and not every media site is going and saying horrible things. A lot of them, Silksong crashes globally. They're acknowledging the success and how big it's going to be, review in progress, and took years to make. But the fact that we're focusing on these things and we're making headlines, Game Journal Media is making headlines like, are worried about Silksong's $20 price, when we should be cheering about those things. When we should, instead of Hollow Knight Silksong's being reviewed bombed, like they're not being reviewed bombed. There's something to be critiqued. And I think these headlines they make them like that because they work. because they're clickbait, because people click on it, or in other words, someone might be scrolling and they see something like that and then they mention it, or it puts a bad taste in the game and puts a bad spotlight on the game itself. What are the reviews? What are people actually saying about Hollow Knight Silksong? So this caught my attention because I saw a pattern occurring. Silksong has barely been out for a day and players are already complaining about its difficulty. I feel like they're really overusing double damage. And whenever we go over to Steam and we go over some of the reviews, and I've read some of these, like this one right here talks about the currency system and how the currency system isn't consistent, or it creates really a too punishing of a system. And other people have talked about how it's hard, but again, more currency system, rosary capitals, beast shards, charms, having to heal yourself, whenever you die and have to track back, it's just so much to track back through to get back to the boss. It feels more like a punishment than an actual challenge at that point, and it can be frustrating. Other people have talked about how the game feels different. Now this is where the game starts to be subjective. When the game feels different, you know, Hollow Knight tutorial, you get taught. Silksong's tutorial is Hollow Knight. And that means they've increased the challenge. They've increased the difficulty in it. And a lot of it has to do with this like 45-degree angle. This character, I know it's a new character. It's not a knight. You're playing as, it was another type of bug that I can't remember. I apologize. But this character, you know, does attacks at angles, is more squishy. You're less having to tank things. The healing, you have to do 9 hits in a boss fight to get healed. Those things make the game completely different, and people get a different experience, which can be more subjective to a viewer who may have really loved Hollow Knight for a specific thing, and then when those specific things change, in Silksong, they no longer like it anymore. But I think the biggest critique, now this isn't a review. When I get to playing the game, I'll give my own critical view on it and everything like that. But I think the biggest one is the currency, and the currency creating a punishing system for the players. Now, it took only 2 days for someone to make Hollow Knight Silksong easier. It's already being modded. And you know what? The modding community is at work. So if you're playing this on PC, you can at least know that you can go in and change the game the way that you want to change it if you're not liking it, because it's crazy how someone can go in and already do that so fast. Now, we've already looked at some of the Steam reviews, and people are saying things like, again, we're going back to Game Journal Media. I don't know what it is about these guys, but sometimes they just love to just make stuff, make a problem out of nothing. They make a problem so that they can create a solution. If they're the solution for you, then they are solving a problem that they created for you. Silksong has been out for 120 minutes and there are over 1,500 overwhelmingly positive Steam reviews. So either y'all are really fast or those reviews don't actually mean much. I think first impressions are important. And I think like when you give context to those, you can easily pull up the Steam reviews, see what people are saying, look for a pattern, look for things that everyone is hitting. It's not like all these people were in a room together and decided to, oh yeah, let's all just happen to say the same thing all at once. When you start to see patterns in video games, especially from a community that plays it, then you can see, okay, this is what's really good, this is what's really bad, which is how I was able to, determine that the currency system might be too punishing for players, because that's what the community keeps saying over and over again. And that's a good first impression to get from the game, is that it might be more punishing than what you had experienced before. You're less tanky in this game than you are in the first game. So going in and saying, oh, y'all are really fast, when a lot of these journalist reviewers really only play games for a couple of hours themselves before they put out a full review praising the game, like they did with Dragon Age Veilguard or Avowed or Assassin's Creed, the recent Assassin's Creed Shadows. You know, you play Assassin's Creed Shadow for 4 hours, you're gonna have an okay time, a decent time. That's around the time I bet most reviewers stop playing the game, because after that it just becomes a repetitive grind fest and turns into a chore and a job. So why would they get upset when they probably would have done the same thing before putting out their own review? Now, with that being said, for those of you who are playing Silksong, are you having a blast? Are there too many changes you don't like? Are you excited to play it? I know I'm excited to play it. And also, crazy numbers that this game's been doing. With over 500,000 players already, breaking Steam, and it's just a good time. I think Silksong, the small developers, these small studios are what's going to help gaming, help heal gaming, and we are seeing more and more and more of it, and we just have to continue to support it every time it happens in any way, shape, or form. Even if Silksong's not for you, maybe you know someone that's into that kind of stuff and you can guide them to it. Until next time, guys, play nice.